Okay, hello everyone. Let's do the obligatory mic check. Make sure everything sounds good. Alrighty, I think that sounds good. So I'm going to start with a painting that you've seen before, but I'm not actually going to be working on it because this one's done. I just thought I'd share it real quick. All right, but first I have to stop the double sound that's happening because I can hear myself through the mics and it's driving me slightly crazy real quick. Okay. Um, Alrighty. So here we go. Yeah, this is not what I'm going to be working on today, but since I've been working on this so much on stream, I thought I'd give a sneak peek of this painting before I I will post it later on, but until then, I thought this might be a nice little, hey Des, welcome, how you doing? Good to see you. I just wanted to share this before I moved on. Oh, 1 second. So this is how I keep things in place, all this tape. I'm working on a design right now for a small, like sliding holder that can attach instead of this. I just need to figure out the design, so that it works in the space that I have at the moment that I'm using, that I have here. But yeah, I'm tired of using tape. But yeah, so for everyone who's been here and seen me working on this for a few days or a few streams rather, yeah, here is the final piece. I still have to varnish it and then it'll be sent out. And yeah, I actually think I'm going to keep this stuff that's like unfinished. I like it. I think it adds to it, so I'm keeping it. What size is it? It is, I think it's 12 by 16, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 12 by 16 inches. I could make a frame for it, but I'm a little concerned that the two concerns I have about making a frame for it is the frame adding too much weight to the package and surviving the trip. But worth noting, it is a very thin painting, so make sure the frame can be adapted to that because it's a thin painting. But I don't mind making a frame for it if you'd like. Those are my only concerns. But I've been making frames lately, and so I don't know if I talked about this on stream, but let me share real quick. 1 second. Oh, and I'm glad you like the unfinished look. I like that too. I think it adds to it. 1 second. So I'm just going to put it here to finish drying. But let me show you real quick. So, okay. So you have this painting here. I built the frame for this, and actually I made a video about it, which, I'm making a video. I recorded footage for it, and I'm making a video. So this frame and this frame, which are very similar, I'm going to use the small one because it's easier. But you can see the floating frame. I built this, and the thing is, I actually I worked out an arrangement with a friend of mine, and in exchange for a painting, we bartered. And in exchange for a painting, he actually gave me his miter saw, which, if you're not familiar with that, I totally get it. I was not familiar with them until recently. It's just like a saw that, like an electric saw that basically goes up and down, mostly. Not like a table saw. But it makes making frames like that so easy. Like really super easy. So I can make them now, you know, pretty easily. Des says, my sister made our floating frames last year. Nice. Yeah, the angle cuts. Yeah, the miter saw makes the angle cuts real easy. But I am putting together, I'm working on a video on how to make frames like that if you don't have a miter saw. Obviously, if you have a miter saw, it makes it easier. But I'm working on a video right now on how to make those for all the people who, you know, don't have those things. And if you do, the video still applies. You just use the, you know, the electrical stuff to do it. But yeah. So now I can make floating frames. The next thing is I've been getting into woodworking. I can't afford all the tools I would like at the moment, but yeah, there's, you know, beveled and like more complicated stuff coming in the near future when I can afford like a router and stuff like that. But you know, that's for later. But yeah, the simple floating frames, they're very simple and easy to make for anyone who, you know, needs a frame. Highly recommend them. They're very clean. They look really nice. So yeah, if your sister can do that, then, you know, no problem. Like I said, the things that worry me is it surviving the trip, but more than that is just the weight that it adds and the expense that it would add to the shipping. For anyone who's wondering what we're talking about, so the painting that I just finished that I showed is for a charity in Canada that Des is, I would say it's not her charity, but she's lead on it or on organizing part of it. And one of the artists also, as well, who's doing a fantastic job, by the way. So I have to ship it out to her for the charity event. So that's what we're talking about. Oh, and we have a Dresden. Yes, hello, Dresden. Why do you lick my nose? I don't mind it. I'm just curious. Oh, you're so cute. He's adorable. Of course, like any cat and any ginger cat, he does drive me crazy sometimes, but he's still adorable. I don't know if you can see it or not, but he is kneading my shoulder and arm. And while it's adorable, it is painful too. He's such a sweetie. He is. You know, it's funny. He's also, I know this doesn't apply to all, you know, all cats or all ginger cats, but he is also so gentle. Like when he plays, when he gets rough, when he does any of that stuff, it's so gentle. Even when he goes after the other cats, He's never actually going after the other cats. Like, it's always very gentle, very playful. Don't get me wrong, he has scratched me a couple of times by accident when he's going for a toy. That's just because he has sharp razor blades and doesn't realize it and misses. But he literally has never scratched intentionally. Like, he doesn't have it in him. I don't think he. Well, I don't know. He does have a hunting instinct, so maybe he could hunt things if he was on the streets, but other than that, he doesn't know how to like fight for himself. He's such a gentle little boy. The crazy thing is when we adopted him, he apparently his previous owners had kept him outside with a dog for like a couple months or something like that. We adopted him. He was real small though, so he wasn't dealing with that for a long time. But I don't know how anyone could leave such a cute cat just outside to like fend for itself kind of thing. I or just outside in general because he was so tiny and so cute. Like, how do you not just have him with you constantly? I don't understand that either. Sorry, I gotta straighten this out real quick. Yeah, stop moving so much. The way that this camera distortion works is so bizarre. Like, cause it distorts, but then when you move it over, it it like changes the distortion, so you have to distort it again to like compensate. I don't get it. It's very strange. All right, that's pretty close. Yeah, there we go. That's good. Sorry I have to do this on stream, but every time I set this up, if I just like touch the camera, it all gets messed up and I have to redo it again anyways. All right, there we go. All right, so today should be, we'll see. You know, it's tough to preemptively you know, decide on how the painting, well, not just how the painting session's going to go, but like I have an idea in my head, but I haven't done any color sketches or any like planning, which isn't the best thing in the world to do. Obviously, if you really want to like dial something in, I think that is the best way to go. However, because you know, this is for stream and it's a smaller painting and everything like that, I don't mind doing exploration on the spot type of thing. Hey, Michelle, dropping off the... Oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know. So I have an idea of the painting and what I'm going to try and do this time, but we'll see, you know, we'll see how successful it ends up being. It's, like I said, I do want to kind of do some, a little bit of an exploration with today's painting, so it won't be as, you know, straightforward as I normally do. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's also not going to be like crazy different than anything I've ever done. So, you know, we're not going into that territory. It's just going to be some, you know, messing around with colors a little more and having fun with it. I do have another experiment I'm working on, but this one, you can see it. I'll show you the preview of it. Right now, it's not looking all that different, but that's why it's an exploration, because I'm using paint I haven't used before. So I'm trying to figure out how that paint works, you know? And I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of hard because it's so glossy. There's a little bit of like shimmer happening there. It's hard to see in this light. But yeah, that's, like I said, I'm testing out paints I haven't used before, trying to figure out how to use them in a way that makes sense. But that is something I'm continuing off stream. Very glossy. Yeah, it is very glossy. And I don't know, I mean, I'm okay with it being glossy. I just, sometimes I can't tell when a paint, like why some paintings are very glossy and others aren't. I don't know, like, what is it? I know some of the factors that contribute to paintings being very glossy, but I don't know all the factors. Like, sometimes it just seems like sometimes some just come out glossier than others for no reason. But yeah, I shall see. But yeah, basically I'm messing with the interference paints. I'm trying to figure out how to use them in a way that, you know, in a way that works and a way that is interesting and not just like, you know, a little bit of like shiny stuff on top, you know, like, don't get me wrong, like I like gold leaf, right? Gold leaf is very pretty, but gold leaf is often very much a like you put it on and it's very, very separate from all the other, you know, paints because, well, it has to be, right? Like the way gold leaf functions, it's kind of a separate thing. And like I said, I'm not bashing gold leaf. It can be very pretty and can really add a lot. And there's different ways of applying it. You can apply it smooth. You can apply it with texture. You know, there's more to it than that. But the you know, the what's it called? Interference paints, they're kind of just depending on how you use them. You know, they can be just kind of like glitter, basically, which is not what I want. Or it can be, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to elevate it past that, but it's not very simple because they when you mix them with other paints, they kind of just disappear and lose a ton of, you know, presence. So it does feel like they're going to have to be kind of a top coat type of thing. And they function very different if they're on black, on like dark colors or light colors and so on. So there's a lot going on there, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. Let me just ban someone real quick on Twitch. With bots. I don't understand it, but whatever. All right, before I actually start painting, let me clean up my palette a little because it is in need of that. I'm trying to salvage any paint that's like very fresh and put all the fresh paint into like a, I don't know, a pile so it can hopefully, you know, use it to some degree, but you can't always save the paint, unfortunately. Oh, Des, by the way, I've been looking into wall easels. I'm going to have a design for that very soon. And you can you know, I will, my goal is to have an actual design, like I'm learning to use Fusion 360. So my goal is to have an actual design that people can like, you know, buy and download and use. And of course, if people don't want to actually build it themselves, they can, you know, buy it from me. That's the goal. But you, I know you have people, like you said, your sister has a miter saw, and I know you have construction and everything going on. So, you know, you, I'm sure you can make it yourself or have someone make it for you there. But I will have a design for you very soon, and I think it will work for you very well because it can be positioned at any height that you need. So you can, if you want to sit, if you want your wall easel to be something that you sit at, you can sit at it. If you want it to be something that you stand at, you can place it higher and you can stand at it. If you want it to be something that you can sit and stand at, you just need to make it much longer and then you can do both. But yeah, I was looking into different designs and I think I've come up with something that's obviously I have to build it and try it out, but I think it'll be pretty good. There's like a couple of small details I'm trying to figure out, like the you know, final details of, and then I'll be kind of then I have to build it and try it out. But I abandoned one aspect of it. Like I was going to make it, I think, more complicated than it needed to be. So I kind of abandoned that part of it. Um, so we'll see. Alrighty. I am out of... Well, we'll see. I don't know if I actually need yellow for today's painting. Okay. Let's see. How can I start this painting off? Before I start, though, I do need to add a color to my palette because I am going to use a color I don't normally have on my palette. If I can find it. There it is. Alrighty. Oh, it's dripping. Don't drip. Don't drip. Don't get into my black. All right. All right, let's see how this goes today. Hey, Cassandra, welcome. How you doing? Good to see you. Doing well enough. That's good. I didn't reach out to ask you how you're doing with the flooding because we're kind of close together geographically, but I'm assuming everything's fine. Although if not, let me know, I guess. Should have asked. I just didn't think about it because I know we flooded a little around here, but nothing, has gotten to any of the houses around here, so. No flooding, but the vents on our roof started coming undone and leaking. Oh no, that sucks. Not that it's the same thing or that I'm saying anything like that, but we recently had water coming in through one of our air conditioning vents but I think it might have been either the AC was backed up, or it was condensation. I'm not sure, but we haven't had it happen since. So, I don't know. Cassandra says, so we've had someone around today to put them back, and they'll come back to replace them when something less crappy. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I called some roofing people. They said it's definitely not the roof. It's probably the vent, the AC unit or something, and or the either the lines or the what's it called? Or condensation. And I'm kind of I want to get someone here to check it out, but I also don't want to pay for someone to come and check it out. So it's kind of like, if it only happened the one time, I'm probably not going to do anything about it immediately. I did replace the air filter, I did flush the lines and stuff like that, but you know how it is. Cassandra says, probably condensation. We had that too. Yeah, I think it might have been condensation, because it's been really, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Humid lately. And then, just the temperature shift and everything. I don't know. Des says going to start dinner. Be right back in. No worries, Des. And I hope it goes well and make something delicious and enjoy it. I made empanadas recently, and I posted I think I posted in my Discord a link to the recipe in case, in case anyone's interested. They came out real good. Um, yeah. I did do some substitutes, like I didn't use tempeh, I used tofu instead, but like whatever. I'm sure they'd come out good anyways. But yeah, they came out really good. I was very pleasantly surprised. They looked good. Oh, thank you, Cassandra. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't really. I feel weird. Like, I know cooking, like it's this thing where it's like, I cooked them so I can take credit for it, but also it's like, yeah, I just followed the recipe, and if the recipe is good, like that's where the real credit goes, in a way. Um, I don't know. I'm always like weird about that, because I'm just like, yeah, I did what the paper told me to do, and it came out good. So I'm glad. I've used a couple of bad recipes in the past, and that sucks. Plenty of people can't follow a recipe. Yeah, I've heard. I don't know. I'm not very fast with things. It takes me whatever time it says it'll take to make. It always takes me longer. But other than that, I don't know. I just, like I said, follow the recipe. Which is why, or they don't know that their tools. That is something that I do run into occasionally, where I'm just like, I don't know, or I don't know what the tool is, or I don't have it. That is something I do run into occasionally, because what can you do? Um, But yeah, usually I'm doing simple things, so there's ways around it. I will say this: the one thing, like when I went vegan, I started cooking more because of it, and that's a real like. Obviously, I didn't have to go vegan to start cooking more, but that is a general positive of going for me personally. Going vegan is just being better at cooking now. It's so useful. I'm not. It's not my favorite thing to do all the time, but it's still. I like the result, and it's just so useful. Alrighty. Um, that's also something. That's also a general problem I run into with like I've been getting into like woodworking a little more, and I'm like I'm trying to design a wall easel right now, and I'm running into the problem of I have an idea, I know what I want to do with it, um, but I don't know the names for all the tools and everything, and all the not just tools, like there's like certain type of like fasteners and just all these like parts and stuff like that. Like I have an idea, I know what I want to do, but I don't know what these things are called. And it is remarkably difficult to Google things when you don't know what they're called. Like I try and describe it, but you know, it's very slow because you have to like I have to like describe it and then hope that I find something similar on accident, but that is what I'm looking for, and then and so on. It's very awkward. That is one of those things where it's like it is so hard to get past that, like that level of like the things that you don't know, not just that you don't know, but that you're well, I guess in this case it's just things I don't know the names of. But I do run into it where I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this thing existed, because there's a lot of things I don't know that I don't even know. Um, so yeah, it's always tough area to be in. Plasma grapes, welcome. How are you doing today? In case you're wondering, I do have two chats running at the same time. So if you're wondering who am I talking to, that's where that is happening. So yeah, I'm doing okay. Thanks. How are you? I'm doing all right. I'm just hoping I can figure this painting out. I didn't do any color sketches, and I'm trying to modify the colors on the fly. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm doing all right. Are you an artist as well? Most. It's like I think 95% of the people who come in here are, although non-artists are, of course, welcome. Oh, does sound existing? Um, Hold on a second. Not sure what you mean by, oh, does sound existing? Oh, sounds exciting. Okay, that makes more sense. All right, I'm like, wasn't sure about that. Yeah, yeah, definitely exciting. Yeah, you're an, no worries, autocorrect, no worries. I'm a horrible speller too, so I misspell things all the time. I'm dyslexic, so I don't give, I don't, I'm not going to give people a hard time, uh, you know. But yeah, you're an on and off artist. That's fair. It's tough. There's lots of reasons why it's very tough to be an on full-time artist, Although I will say, I always people come in here a lot, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not a real artist," and or I'm not, I don't do it professionally, and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, you don't need to be a professional to be an artist, And it doesn't matter how good you are or aren't. Everyone starts somewhere. So those are things I generally like advocate for because I feel like people are, and I know most of the artists I know fall into this category, me as well. They're too hard on themselves. So I try to, encourage people to um, not be too hard on themselves in that sense. Don't get me wrong. Uh, I think being like analytical and critical of your artwork when you're trying to get better is great, but you don't have to crap on yourself into that doesn't I don't feel like that actually helps people. Anyways, that's just my general thing. But yeah, what kind of art do you like to do? In case you're wondering, these are oil paints. My channel is mostly dedicated to my oil painting. I am a storyboard artist for TV animation and a general illustrator. And, I do freelance artwork and all kinds of stuff. But um, my channel is generally dedicated to my oil paintings. Although I have a wide background in all kinds of stuff. I used to be all digital at one point, and some of the people in chat uh, were all digital and they transitioned into oil paintings. Some use acrylics, heaven forbid. But I'm just kidding. Um, but yeah, so, we're very welcoming to different mediums as well. Back, sorry. Oh, no worries. I was just asking you what type of artwork you like to do. If there's something in particular you're into. And I was saying that this is oil paints, in case you're wondering. But we have people here that do all kinds of stuff. You know, you enjoy doing semi-realism artwork? That's cool. Sandra says, "Oops, my stream paused while I was making lunch. What I missed? Not much, honestly. I mean, painting is kind of slow, so not a whole lot. We have a first-time chatter over in on Twitch, but other than that, not a ton. I did make fun of you for using acrylics, Cassandra, but I was just joking. I don't really think there's anything wrong with using acrylics. Uh, Plasm Grave says, but I stick with simple things, just black and white shading. Uh, that's cool. And Cassandra says it's expected at this point. Of course it's expected at this point. I mean, you use acrylics. What else could I do? Um, but yeah, uh, nothing wrong with black and white, or simple shading. Like that's all good. People do, you know, people have made masterpieces in black and white and pen and ink, so yeah, nothing wrong with any of that. But nowhere near being good from how rusty I've gotten. Ah, don't worry about that. It comes back really fast. Um, you know, just don't be too hard on yourself, and it'll come back faster. Um, yeah. Cassandra says it comes back really, really fast. Can confirm. Yeah, Cassandra took a break, if I remember correctly, and now she's killing it. So very, very quickly. Cassandra's on the YouTube chat, by the way, in case you're curious who I'm talking to. But yeah, no, don't worry about it. Also, this is something that I try and emphasize, and it's tough. Don't get me wrong. I totally get this, but you know, I know it's really, really hard as an artist to kind of divorce yourself from the like outcome of making art, because the whole idea is we want to make, masterpieces. We want to make amazing, phenomenal art that, all that stuff, right? Or we want to be as good as our favorite artist or whoever, right? Like, I get that. I totally get that. Or we want to be better than our favorite artist. Like, I get all of that. But personally, at least, this is, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe this doesn't apply to everybody, but personally, I know I've always improved the most from kind of not caring about those things and really pushing more on the process, A, enjoying the process, and B, kind of trying to figure out the process that gives me the results I want, but not worrying about whether or not I end up actually getting the results I want, because that will be a byproduct of it. And it's really hard. And I'm not saying that you do that. I don't know you. I'm talking in generalities here, but I definitely know that from myself. So I kind of try and remind people, because it can be so hard. And Plasma Grape says, "Oh, Don Lee is in your Discord. I know him. Yeah, Don Lee is a friend. Absolutely, Don Lee is great. Uh, love Don Lee." I'm in his server too. I'm not very active. I'm not very. I'm bad at being on Discord in general. Like, I'm not the most active person. I'm very responsive, I think, on my Discord, or maybe not very, but I am responsive at least. But I'm not very active on other Discords. It's just I'm on too many Discords and there's too much stuff all the time. So yeah. But yeah, Don Lee's a friend. And for anyone who doesn't know Don Lee is a streamer on Twitch. He does digital art, sometimes games and stuff like that. Really super cool guy. Does a lot of fun pop culture related streams. Not pop culture necessarily, but like he's Yeah, I guess more pop culture, movies, geek stuff, things like that. A lot of fun stuff. Uh, Cassandra says, thanks to our conversation the other day, I decided to try painting flowers. Hey, good for you. Congratulations. And I am sorry also. But no, not really. I mean, that's great. Flowers are so much harder than they look. Or than personally, they were so much harder than I thought they would be. Um, so yeah. I remind me later. I have an artist I can recommend who does amazing flower paintings, and she shows her process. It's very much going from like general to like detail kind of thing. Like anything, obviously, that's kind of the go-to way of painting, but she's so good at it. Cassandra says it's so fun. The time is flying. It's difficult, but in a good way. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so happy for you. Uh, that was not my experience, but of course, that's everyone's different, right? Like what they focus on, what they enjoy doing. That's the like beauty of it in general, right? Um, so that's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. No, that's too dark. Yeah, it needs a little bit of the red. Cassandra says, I wish my color work was a bit more sophisticated, but I realize sometimes when you challenge yourself, some of your areas might suffer. Absolutely. They absolutely will suffer, not might. It's almost a guarantee because you you only have so much attention and you see the thing about our brains that's so fascinating is how we do things. So, you know, the best example is, or maybe not the best, but one of the best examples is driving, right? When you're first learning how to drive, there's so many things that you're trying to do simultaneously, right? I have to pause my recording because I have to put out more paint. But there's so many things that you have to remember to do simultaneously, right? And it's so hard when you first learn how to drive. Then our brains batch things together. And so when you go to turn on the car and start driving, when you first learning to drive, it's okay. You have to remember every single individual step. And as you go, your brain batches those things together, so it's less cognitive load. And at least this is my understanding from the books I've listened to, right? And so the same thing happens when you're improving in artwork. You have to focus so much, but as you go through time and you get better, your brain batches all those things together and you don't have to think of every little step anymore. But when you're pushing yourself, obviously you're learning, and so you don't get to do all that at the same time. So it's way more cognitive load at the time. Yeah. Um, let's see. Plasma Grape says back posted some of my artwork I have done in the past. Oh, awesome! You posted it in the Discord. Oh, look! I'm looking forward to taking a look at it. Cassandra says I look forward to showing you later. Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to seeing it. but yeah, you know, it's absolutely expected that certain areas will suffer. And in fact, a lot of times, and it's not always possible, but a lot of times when I'm trying to learn something new, I will purposefully eliminate elements that that are normally in my painting. I will take them out so that I don't have to worry about it. For instance, the clear, you know, one of the clear obvious ones is like, you can always do whatever you're doing, you can do it in black and white instead of color. Obviously, you know, flowers, you can do black and white, but, you know, kind of missing the beauty of them. But I'm saying in general, right? Like, that's one way of eliminating something so it's less cognitive load. And there's all kinds of ways of like doing that when you're trying to like learn something new or push yourself, you know, in a new way. So, and if you're not doing that, it is understandable that like some areas might suffer. Or what also can happen is it might suffer in the beginning of the process, but then you'll be able to like bring it around towards the end or something when the rest, you know, the other parts are kind of done. You know, that type of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Absolutely. Cassandra says, yeah, I realized what was happening with my color pretty early and decided not to push it. I'll look for places to add some back in towards the end. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, words right out of my mouth. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Awesome. But yeah, I think it's something that people people think that when you improve in art, like, you know, if you were to graph out your improvement in artwork, you know, some people think it's supposed to just be like a line forward, and then as they get into it, they feel like, oh no, wait, it's more like steps, right? But in reality, it's not even that. It often feels more like loops, right? So like you hit a high and then you can't recreate that high, and then you start going down a little bit and you kind of loop back around, and so it feels like you're getting worse. You're not really getting worse, it just feels like that, and then it loops up, and then you shoot past where you were, and it continues. And the reason for that is because once you've hit that high, it's not just once you've hit that high, but what happens is your perception is changed. So now your perception of what is good has, you know, you keep upping your standard, and you notice more mistakes and more issues that you didn't notice before. So it looks like you're doing worse, and you're trying to get better. So certain areas often suffer a little bit. So you see more mistakes, so you think you're getting worse. Plus, you are doing worse possibly in other areas. And so it feels like you're getting worse overall. That's why like the progression of artists has this, in my opinion, these like loops instead of steps. But yeah, it's to be expected. People just, artists often worry a lot about stuff. So, which I get, I understand, but yeah. Obviously, I'm not talking specifically about you for clarification, just in case. It's very hard when I'm streaming. I don't want to like put things on people that it doesn't apply to them, but I'm just talking in generalizations, obviously. There's no way for me to talk super specifically to, but yeah. But plasma grapes, yeah, I'll take a look at your paintings, your artwork, when I take a bit of a break. How long have I been doing art? A long time, a very long time. I have done a lot of like changes in my artwork over the years. Like originally I wanted to be a comic book artist, and I got into like the indie comic books. And then I went into storyboarding, which I still do, obviously, for work, and more like illustration related stuff. And then I started getting into, well, when I went to art school, I actually learned acrylics, by the way, uh, Cassandra, just FYI. When I went to art school, I did study acrylics. And then I went all digital for years and years. And then was also into markers and like more comic book like related stuff. And then like I said, I went all digital, and a lot of things are all digital in the production world. Then I wanted to do something a little more for myself, and then all my favorite painters, like all the painters I absolutely loved the most, they were all like oil painters. So I eventually picked up oil paint, and started getting into that. No, Des, that is not. No, Plasma Grapes is from Don Lee's Discord. Yeah, Plasma Grapes uh, is in what's it called? In Twitch chat. And I know you're in Don Lee's Discord, so maybe you know each other. Oh, no worries, Des. You don't have to apologize for that. I appreciate you and all the modding related activities you do. I really do. But you also, you don't have any obligations, so I appreciate it. But never feel like guilty or anything. I did say this was a 4th of July weekend stream, and so I thought I'll do a 4th of July painting. Not really. I mean, sort of. Like, I found this image and I really liked the image, and it happened to have a flag behind him. So I was just like, oh, that's perfect. I can do this. It ties in really well. Yeah. But I liked the image, so I was always planning on doing this. Yeah, it's always tough making time to draw or paint plasma grapes. I totally get that. The best advice I can give you or anyone who is struggling to with time is to don't be too hard on yourself. It's understandable. We all have lives, and sometimes it can't be the priority, so it's really tough, and I get that. Um, but the best advice I would give is to figure out a setup for what you want to do, and try and have your setup as like ready to go all the time. Like as permanent or as quick as it is to set up. Like my painting setup is almost always, ready to go. The only thing is like my brushes go over there to like stay in some oil so I don't have to wash them, and I take my palette down. But the easel stays up all the time. I get it, not everyone can do that. Not everyone has the setup for that. But there are ways that people can sometimes, you know, set that up. Sometimes people don't even realize that they can, or that there are ways of doing that. So but that is my best advice, because quick setup, quick teardown makes it so much easier to get into it. And if the setup and teardown is always the same, it puts you over time, it puts you in the mindset to paint really, really quick, which is also fantastic. Or draw, or whatever it is you're doing. So you need less warm up. You need less time to kind of get in the headspace. You know, you just kind of set up and you're ready to go. Let's see. Plasma Grape says, most of the art studies, I do them at work when it's slow, but makes it more fun when it's ink only. Ooh, you do ink work. Yeah, ink is fun. I've done pen and ink. I used to do a lot of pen and ink stuff. So yeah, I like pen and ink. Uh, I'm not the best inker in the world. Like when I ink my own drawings, I'm not the best. I do feel like I'm better at going, like, doing not like comic book inking, but doing like, you know, cross hatching and like what I would consider pen and ink more than like comic book inking. I think I do a bit better on that. But you know, to each their own, of course, but it is so fun. There's something very enjoyable about it. Alrighty. So with this painting specifically, I'm not going to worry, or I'm going to try not to worry too much about placement. I have a tendency to like want to be too exact, which is really, you know, it's good to be exact and on point, but I have a tendency to be too exact. All right, I am going to be off screen for a second, but I'm still here. I'm just going to do my little Photoshop thing real quick. For anyone who doesn't know, I use Photoshop, although you can use other programs. And I place my painting, I overlay it with my reference to help me get the placement of things. It's kind of like using a projector or something like that. It's helpful and it speeds up the process. So that's how I usually do things when I'm working in studio. And then I will also take a look at Plasma Grape's artwork since I'm at the computer. For anyone who doesn't know, my computer is actually like a couple feet away from me when I'm painting. So I can see the screen, but I can't see, it's hard to like manipulate it too much. And I can't see if anyone follows me or does anything like that. I apologize. I never do shout outs for that, but it's because I can't see it on screen. I just have too many windows open and it's just too hard to like be able to see everything. So I do apologize for that. But I do appreciate everyone who follows and subscribes and, likes and does all this stuff. All righty. All right. Well, there's a few things that are slightly off, but I mean, damn, this was really, really on point today. There's a little things off here and there, but yeah. Cassandra says, I have a small stack of prepared surfaces of different kinds. That is a big help too. Oh, that's a great point. Cassandra makes a great point. She's talking about being prepared to paint or or draw for that matter, but having the surfaces pre-prepared, having everything ready to go basically ties into that. Very, very helpful. Yeah, absolutely. And then one second. All right. Let me see here. All right, so plasma grapes. I'm looking at your artwork. Oh, very nice. You have a wide variety here. There's a lot of fun stuff here. I like the skull. That's really cool with the crown. Some great pencil studies. Ooh, a horse. Horses are hard. I have drawn so many cursed horses. It became a joke in the studio I was working in, and I started drawing like extra cursed horses on purpose because they are hard. Horses are really hard to draw. So it became this ongoing joke. In the studio, and so I leaned into it and like purposely did like really bad ones. But yeah, um, very nice stuff. Yeah, a lot of great studies here. Some perspective studies. Looks like someone fishing. That can be complicated for sure. Um, a jester design that looks like a someone with their. That's a bit gory, but okay. Some interesting design stuff here. That's cool. Owl. Baseman. Nice. Yeah, some extreme perspective here. Very nice. That's always fun. I've always enjoyed doing that when I was doing comic book related stuff. Yeah, very cool. Very nice stuff. Plasma Grapes. Plasma Grapes said, not going to lie, I'm kind of scared of learning color theory. It's going to be so complicated for my brain. I have a weird relationship with color theory. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't want to I don't want to oversimplify it and make it sound like there's nothing to learn. There's definitely a lot to learn with color. And when you start getting into like I don't know, there's all kinds of ways of learning color theory. But I don't know like I feel like in the beginning it's not people make it out to be harder than it is. I feel like it's like this weird like you can learn like the entry level into color and color theory I don't think is that hard. I think there's maybe a deeper well there that it like you can really go into it. But how can I put this? The what is it? The like the oh, it's a term. The skill ceiling is really high, but the skill floor is really low. So like it doesn't take much to get into it, and I think it's really doable, like for most people. I do think that learning it with paints is actually easier because once you learn how to like mix paints to get the color you want, I feel like that's like 80% of all color theory that you need to learn. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's not, I don't know. There's, once you know, like working with a limited palette, once you can mix the colors you want, that's it. Like that's the most of it. Like the big thing is value, right? Like if you can get your values right, the colors aren't nearly as important and you can get away with a lot of like, you can play around with color a lot. Hey, Don Lee, welcome. Don Lee's in the YouTube chat. Welcome. Plasma Grapes is over on Twitch, by the way, hanging out. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's why I said, like, I feel like learning color theory with paint or makes it the easiest, because once you learn how to mix the colors you want, that's it. And it's not hard. There's mixing tutorials online. It's not that hard. You get it really quick. Des says, I don't know the technicalities of mixing colors. I just add a little of this, a little of that. Oh, that works, and go with it. Yeah, well, Draw Mix Paint has a video on it on YouTube, and he uses a different palette than me. It's a little different than mine. I don't think it's as good as mine, but it's easier to work with, but it's more limited. But the theory applies. It's like, do you want it to be, you look at something and you're like, what color is this? Is it a reddish color? Then you start with red. Is it more red, less red? Is it, more yellow, less yellow? Is it more blue, less blue? Is it darker or lighter? And you just start mixing in the colors that do that. If when you start mixing with paint, you learn really quick. If you add white or if you add black, it really desaturates the color. So you lose a lot of color. So then it's like, okay, well, if I want to make it darker, if I add blue, it'll make it darker and bluer, but it won't lose saturation. So maybe that works. And you just kind of, you just add little bits and slowly kind of make the paint get there, Don Lee says, ooh, I have a fancy crown. I know it. I don't know. I'll be honest. I didn't do anything. I think it's an automatic thing that YouTube is doing. But yeah, absolutely. All right, quick stretch. So yeah, color theory, I think it's pretty, like, once you get into it, you'll get it. Seeing color, I feel like if you're trying to do realistic things, seeing color and knowing what color to use is actually very hard. Training your eye to see and accurately identify colors is very hard. There are tips and tricks and stuff that you can do. There's also tools that you can use to help you. If you use a computer, you can color pick to like see what color you're using. If you're using, there's also these, I don't know where mine is right now, but I have one of those things. It's like a gray card with a hole in it. So you can isolate the color stuff like that is helpful. But those are all like, you know, like, how can I put this? I mean, those are things that are difficult to do and it takes time, but there's nothing like crazy that breaks your brain about that. It's just practice and getting better at it. Same with your values. Evaluating your values, you get better over time the more you practice it. And, I just looking at the stuff you did, I'm totally capable of doing that. It's not anything, special that you can't do. All right. And this painting, by the way, is not a great example of it because obviously my colors are not realistic at all in this painting. This wasn't, I was not intending for my colors to be realistic in this painting. But if you get your values right, you can totally get away with doing completely unrealistic colors all the time. That is one of those things. That's why they say like value is king. It's true to a large extent, although I do feel like they sometimes oversimplify that point a little bit, but I would say definitely for beginners, value is king. Later on, you start kind of pushing things around a bit more. But yeah, you totally can get into it. Just learn some basic color mixing stuff and you'll pick it up no problem. And for pen and ink, by the way, there's I don't know if you're familiar with this. There's those old school push pens that have like multiple colors in them. Well, there's one that specifically has CMYK colors in it. So you can kind of scribble mix with it and layer and make a variety of colors with it, which is really interesting. Now, I'm not going to say that it pulls off all the colors amazingly. Like if you want to make a green color, the yellow is pretty weak. So you get a greenish color, it's not the vibrant green that you get from pens if you like bought a green pen, but it's still a cool idea. And I think it's really cool because it's like a single pen that you can take with you anywhere and just, and just draw and scribble wherever you want. Talking about the one with the multi-tube pens, yes, so it's like a fat pen that has like 4 push things on the side, on the top, right? And they push out like multiple color, like each one's a different color. Does that make sense? You know them. Yeah, yeah. So there's one specifically with CMYK, so it lets you do like scribble mix colors, right? Like, because you can like crosshatch, like if you crosshatch blue and yellow, you get a green color. And it's not a perfect green, like I said, but it's still interesting. Donley says, in my opinion, figuring out color is just being willing to try and learning small things will go a long way towards getting good, like mixing yellow and blue to make green and red and yellow for orange. Yeah, exactly, Donley. I agree with you. And I was saying, I think just learning just that's why I said it's easier with like real paint or real colors, because what happens is like you you can learn really quickly how the like complementary colors work together, because it's like, okay, you mix them together and then they cancel each other out. And so you get used to like using complementary colors a little more, and it just becomes more intuitive. But yeah, Donley, I think you're absolutely right. It's just trial and error. And no, just knowing the basics will get you very, very far with them. Because one of the things that people like is that one of those things is like complementary colors and how they interact with each other, and like, they cancel each other out, but they look good next to each other. That's really, you get that intuitively very fast when you start using them. Plasma Group says it's very true. Learning is just a big experiment that starts with small things. Yeah. Only says basic color mixing even works with other mediums than paint. You can layer color pencils and get similar effects of mixing paint colors. Oh yeah, absolutely, Donnelly. You're absolutely right. I just feel like paint, or I was saying I feel like real medium is probably makes it the easiest, and I think paint kind of makes it the clearest kind of thing, you know. Like it's the most straightforward element of it kind of thing. But yeah, it applies to everything. It even applies to digital. It's just the color picker kind of takes a lot of that out of it when you go digital. So you have to be careful, because it removes so much of that, and the colors don't mix properly, um, when in the programs. If you're like trying to mix the colors, they don't really interact properly. So if you wanted to do it digitally, the best way, in my opinion, is to treat it kind of like pencils, or like markers, where you kind of do the same thing. You optically mix and you scribble. I'm just saying, just to like learn it, right? Because that way the program isn't mixing it, your eyes are doing the mixing, right? But that's purely for like studying. I'm not saying like you need to do artwork that way, or that you should do digital artwork that way. I'm just saying like the process of kind of getting a handle of it, if that makes sense. Plasma Group says I'm going to head out for now. I appreciate the art chat. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I stream on Wednesday and Sundays at the moment. And I will have a new YouTube video out this week, by the way. Just a little self plug there for that. But yeah. And of course, you're welcome in the Discord to, obviously you posted already, but everyone who's watching is welcome to join the Discord, post your art, talk art, ask questions if you have them. You know, it's a very open community and very helpful and friendly. Thank you, Des. I appreciate you posting the link. Ooh, I see a place I kind of messed up. The neck here. There we go. Hey, Michael. Welcome. How are you doing today? Good, thanks. Good. Glad to hear that. Today is an interesting, uh, for me at least. It's hopefully you all find it interesting too. It's an interesting painting idea I'm doing. I had an idea and I didn't bother to do a study or anything. I was just like, yeah, we'll just do it live on stream. What's the worst that can happen? You know. So it's a fun experiment. And also it fit for the 4th of July because this photo has a huge uh, flag behind the guy. So it works really well. Conley says, America. Yeah. Well, hey, it's 4th of July, you know? Cassandra says, I gotta run. Have a great rest of your stream. Oh, thank you, Cassandra. And thanks for stopping by. I look forward to seeing those paintings you're working on. Have a good rest of your weekend. Only says, or is it Murica? I don't know. As far as that goes, it's however you want it. It's a free country after all. Trying to balance these colors so that it's not like overwhelming, you know, green and everything. It's going to be very it's going to be some fun, you know, what's it called? Hopefully subtleties in it. But yeah, this green is such a strong green. It's really got, I really have to like keep it in check as I'm you know, painting with it. In case anyone's curious, it is phthalo green, uh, emerald, or yellow shade, depending on the manufacturer. Uh, Michael says, any tips on getting back to painting? I struggled with my last two and have given in for about a month. Okay. Yes, I absolutely have tips for that. Let me ask you some specifics. What what was, if you can articulate it, and if you can't, I understand, what was the struggle that you were running into? And like I said, if you can't articulate it, that's understandable. Sometimes it can be very difficult to articulate these types of things, so I totally get that. So I can give general tips, but if you have specifics, I can also try and, you know, help with that specifically. But yeah, I do have tips on getting back into it. One, some of the like general tips is don't be too hard on yourself. Easier said than done. I recognize that. It takes a little time, but it's really fast once you give yourself time. if you have a tendency towards perfectionism, I do, a lot of artists do, one of the things that can really help with that is do small studies with a time limit. So it's like, it's not the best you could do, it's just the best you could do in an hour, right? It's a little easier to kind of shrug off. And it's smaller, so it's not as, it's not as big of a deal too. Those are some of my like general tips. Having your setup be very easy to set up and take down, or being constantly in place, was my recommendation for like finding the time. But it also applies to this, because the less barriers you set up for yourself, the better. If the issue is like the quality of the work isn't what you want it to be, decide that before you even do it, that work with cheap materials, and decide before you even do the artwork that you're going to destroy it afterwards, right? So do a charcoal drawing that you are going to throw in the trash when it's done, and limit the time that you spend on it, maybe try, or if you liked working in a sketchbook, set yourself up to do as many sketches as you can in a day, or to finish the book within a month, stuff like that. The idea is all of these kind of play around the same thing of like not worrying too much about the outcome, not putting too much like importance on the finished work, and doing a lot more, because those things will get you better finished work. It just takes time. But let's see. Michael says, getting a likeness on one usually doesn't bother me, but I do love painting. So wait, you're saying you don't have trouble getting a likeness? Is that what you're saying? Or you're struggling with getting a likeness? Just for clarification. But as a general note, another thing I can say is anything that you're struggling with, for instance, getting a likeness, or, not a likeness, but anything really, one of the things is to, like, don't do a whole piece of artwork trying to deal with that issue. Instead, just do a study or multiple studies. Okay, Michael says, struggling getting a likeness, usually pretty good at it. Oh, I see. I would practice and this is what I think, like, this is a general thing that I find helpful. If you're having a hard time with anything in particular, try and break it down into its elements and practice those elements. And what I mean by that is, like, okay, what are the elements of getting a likeness, right? One of them is accuracy for like what you're looking at and what you're drawing. So a way of simplifying that is doing like a few exercises, like really small, quick exercises, where all you're doing is like drawing, circles and squares. Like if you have like an abstract image with circles and squares or something like that, or even if it's people, but you just simplify them and just trying to get your proportions right. What's great is that instant feedback. So you do that, and then you instantly check yourself as soon as you're done. And so it's immediate feedback, which is so helpful. And it doesn't take a long time. You don't have to deal with the whole process of doing a portrait. You're just doing some very quick, like recalibrating of your eyes and hands to make sure that your coordination, is getting the sizes right. You know what I mean? And of course, you can practice, with measuring with your hand and your, or whatever. Like there's all kinds of techniques like that, which are helpful as well and great to use. But yeah, like I'm a big fan of doing like tiny, very short exercises that give you instant feedback. Because that lets you like readjust. And you'll notice that if you do like you do like a drawing, and if you specifically want to do portraits, and you want to get the likeness, just do a super simplified version of faces and do like 10 of them real fast. Just, get the proportions right, get the eyes right in the right location, the nose and the mouth and the hairline, and then check it and then adjust it and then do another one and then do another one. And you just do them fast. It takes like 5 minutes. It takes you like 2 minutes per one. It takes you like 10-20 minutes tops. You just do a bunch of them real fast. And then you calibrate yourself very quickly that way. Des says, just got back. Did you suggest the photo overlay? I didn't suggest the photo overlay because that's a great technique. That's a great technique to use, but it's you don't want it to be a crutch. I would say like I use it because it speeds me up. I use it because it lets me be looser when I start and I don't have to worry about things. But if I have to do it without it, I feel confident I can. You know what I'm saying? And so though it's like, and to be clear, Michael, in case you're not familiar with it, I use a technique where I take a photo of my painting and then I overlay my reference image and my painting over each other. And I use that to find, my placement of things. It's a very useful technique. It's very similar to using a projector, but you don't want to be reliant on a projector, right? You don't want to be reliant on it. It's great to use, and I understand it makes life easier, but you don't want to be reliant on it. Is why I'm giving those advice, but it is a great technique, and it's very helpful. What was the other thing I was going to say? There was something else I was going to mention. Now I'm spacing on it. Oh well. If I remember it, I'll say it. Yeah, but yeah. I hope that helps. And you'll get it. Just don't worry. Give it time. You'll get there. And then by all means, use a projector or use the photo overlay or whatever technique you want to use. You can grid things out, of course. There's all kinds of techniques, but yeah. I'm trying to think but I totally spaced on something I was going to say. I'm sorry. If it comes back to me, I'll bring it up. But yeah. Oh, Dunley, yeah. I haven't posted the final. I did show it off a little at the beginning of the stream today. And it is behind me. When I take a break, um, in just a few minutes, I'll be happy to show it again, if you'd like. Oh, and for likeness, this isn't what I was going to say, but this is something that I think is great. If you ever really for likeness, there's some videos that people have posted about how to draw caricatures of people. You know, those are so good for likeness because they kind of get to the heart of people, and you don't have to make them into caricatures, but like the concepts are very solid, very, very solid. So those are also very good videos and techniques to learn. Michael says, I usually just go for it quite confidently, but I am sure I'll get back to it. Thanks a lot. Love all your work. Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, you'll definitely get there. You'll get back to it especially if you used to be able to do it before and now you feel suddenly kind of off. Just give it a little time. You'll get there. It you know they say it's like the line is it's like riding a bike, and it really is, but it's actually truer than you think. And what I mean by that is like I I remember years ago I was staying with my dad and my and my brothers and my brother and sister, and my dad had gone out. He went to work, and he left me with my brother and sister, and they wanted to go to um, this, like, I don't know, the supermarket or the market or somewhere to pick something up, and we didn't have a car, so we used the bikes. And I hadn't ridden a bike in years, but yeah, I could still ride a bike, no problem. But when I got to the end of the block, I couldn't take the turn. It's like a 90-degree turn. I couldn't. I had to stop and like walk myself into it because it was such a tight turn. And I used to be able to do stuff like that no problem. But you get out of practice, right? So yeah, I could still technically ride a bike, but I wasn't anywhere as proficient at it as I used to be. So give yourself a little time, you'll get right back to it. Doesn't take long. You really do, it really does pick up very fast. And unlike riding a bike, you're not going to break your hand, by accident when you miss a turn. So, you don't have to worry about that as much. So you can just go for it and not be afraid of it. But yeah, I felt so betrayed when I tried riding the bike, and I'm like, oh, I can't really do this anymore. I'm like, that saying is such a lie. I felt so betrayed. All right, I need to give my camera a minute to cool down. Then I can show the charity piece that I just finished for anyone who wants to see it. Um, oh, it's a little awkward here, but I'll try to show it. You're just not going to be able to like get all of it. Oh yeah, this is the charity piece for the. I keep wanting to say for Dez's charity. It's not. I don't think it's technically her charity, but she's the one pretty much running it. So yeah, for Dez's charity, for the what's it called? I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a place for people who are struggling with addiction or homelessness and so on. So yeah. Oh, thank you, Michael. Oh, thanks, Stanley. Appreciate it. I'm glad you like it. Yeah. It's mostly dry already. I just need to let it dry a little more, and then I can varnish it and send it out. Well, thank you, Des. I'm happy you like it. But if you want to see a real masterpiece, here we go. Here's a real masterpiece. It's a Dresden. Mm-hmm. It says the great thing is that they make prints and give each sitter a print of their work. They love them. Oh, that's so good. That's great to hear. That also makes me very happy to hear that, Des. Yes, it's a Dresden. Oh, baby boy. So this is unrelated. Well, it's definitely related to Dresden. It's unrelated to artwork, but because I've been making my own frames lately, and I've made, you know, um, I made my portable easel setup, and I made, the what's it called? The plein air, the wet panel carrier, and all that stuff. Because I've been getting more into woodwork a little bit, and I'm not an expert woodworker at all. I'm never going to claim that. But because I've been doing all of those things, I am planning, when I can afford it, uh, I am planning on building a catio so that Dresden can go outside, not really outside, obviously, but outside into a catio. There's no way I can afford it at the moment, but hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. And when I do, I will definitely film it for everybody. Des says we need a catio too. Yeah. Luckily we have a patio, so like it's got a concrete base and there's a roof to it. So that takes out a ton of the like extra work. But yeah, I'm going to build a catio. I've looked up plans and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm capable of it. I just need to be able to afford it. You know, I do think I'm going to end up, I think I'm going to use the brayer. I like a lot of what's going on, but some of the edges and everything are just too sharp. And while I can like go in and soften them individually, um, that sounds like a lot of work. And I can just use the brayer to do that. I think I'm just gonna do that. Des says, I bought a chicken coop rabbit hutch years ago, but it's falling apart. It's out on the deck for the cats, but only two fit comfortably. Also have a ferret cage for them. Nice. But my sister wants a catio on the side of the house so our cats can access it from the window. Yeah. Pity I don't live close. I would help you build it. Ah, Michael, thank you. I appreciate that. That would be awesome. But you know, like you said, it's a pity. It's a pity that you don't, unfortunately. But yeah. But I do appreciate the sentiment. Absolutely. Do you do a lot of woodworking stuff, by the way? Are you like a, I don't know. You might be like what's it called? Like a master carpenter for all I know. Not that you need to be to do that stuff, but I'm just curious. Yeah, that's better. Just knocking back some of those like really harsh, what's it called? Harsh lines a little bit. I don't mind it being a little murkier, give it a little more atmosphere. This is shot, I'm pretty sure it's like a bar because it's like in a pool, in like pool house or something like that type of thing. And I do appreciate like the atmosphere of it. Um, hey, there we go. Michael says, yes, I am a carpenter. You build conservatories and fit doors and windows. Oh, nice. That's awesome. I've been getting into woodwork just a little bit because I built like my what's it called? I was building my uh floating frames and my wet panel carrier and stuff like that. I am by no means a, you know, expert at this stuff, but uh I'm, and I up until now I haven't had any tools, but like a friend of mine gave me a plunge saw, and then we bartered for his miter saw because he was upgrading his setup anyways. So stuff like that. So now I have a few more tools, and it makes it a lot easy. Still not all the tools I would probably need in general, but I'll start somewhere. But yeah, that's really cool. I do have a question for you though, and this might not be something that but I do have a question for you because I'm trying to find something and I don't know if it exists or what the name is, and it's driving me nuts. I like that you have a go well done. Thank you. I appreciate that. Or are you saying you have to go? Did I misunderstand that? But yeah, if you do, no, understandable too. But yeah, okay. So, and if you leave, I understand. But I do have a question. So I'm trying to, I know there are these things, I don't know I keep getting the names wrong because there's, I think, multiple names, but it's like, there are these clasps that have, you know, um, like one side hooks into the other and you, what's it called? And latch it down. So it latches under tension, you know? Oh, Des says, oh, he's the one to ask about the wall easel. Haha. Yeah, he is. Actually, this is related to that because one of the things I'm trying to figure out is, so, the most easels use a screw system to tension it, right? And I don't like that very much. So I'm trying to find a replacement for that. So like, most easels, like, this is a portable one, but it uses like a little screw here. And the way it builds, the way these do tension is just you screw it and the back of it just has something, flat and it sandwiches it and that makes the tension, right? Which, I mean, it works, but, this little latch right here, right? This is a very dinky one, but it latches in, and then when you close it, it pulls and it makes, tension that way. And what I'm wondering is there something like that latch but that doesn't open? Because I had the idea of making an easel that had a like a latch like that, where like you open it, same thing kind of on like metal watches, the way that they like clasp close. I had the idea of making it so that you push it and latch it into place, and then when you want to move it, like a ratchet strap, yeah, kind of, but permanent. Like the idea is that the two sides are attached permanently, and when you open it, it relaxes the tension, and when you close it, it pulls the pieces together. Does that make sense? But without the ability to like undo it, or maybe there's a way to undo it, but all the ones I've seen, it functions like a hook, right? So it hooks in and you tension it and then you let it go and the hook comes undone. I don't want that aspect of it. I don't want it to come undone is what I'm getting at. Does that make sense? Because like the way that the screw tensions work is so stupid, because it's like, I never want my easel to be, I never want the tension on it to be less technically. I always want it to stay put, right? So I basically want it on or off, right? So I figure, why not use something that works in the same way, where it's on or off, and then I can move the easel, the bottom of the easel around, kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that, in my mind, that's how that would work, kind of thing. And it would tension to my idea is to have two pieces that like clamp onto the mast, basically, so that you close the ratchet and it tightens, and then you loosen it, move it, and then close it again. Anyways, like I said, it's kind of you'll have to think about it. All right, no worries. If it comes up or it comes to you, feel free to message me, and or let me rephrase that. I'd appreciate it if you would message me, and you're welcome to message me on any platform, but I would appreciate it if it comes up. If you don't, I totally get it. It's an odd thing that I'm, like I found clasps like that. Like there's a bunch of them on Amazon, and I might end up just using one of those because they can create tension, and also you can kind of adjust it a little bit. So if you need, so if it like loosens over time, you can tighten it up a bit more. So there's some easy clasps out there. I worry that it will come undone, kind of thing, I'm trying to make it permanent and easy, not I don't want it to come undone. That's my concern. But yeah, because I'm trying to design like I said, I'm trying to design a wall easel. Um, because I saw someone else's wall easel, um, and I was looking at it and I'm like, I could probably reverse engineer this. Um, and then once I start getting into that mindset of like, I could probably reverse engineer this, I also then look at it and I'm like, if I'm gonna reverse engineer it, like I might as well try and improve on it too. Which, obviously sometimes you can't improve on things, but you know, it's also a weird combination of like I was looking at their design a little closer later and I was like, oh, they did a bunch of things with their design that I probably couldn't do. Like they clearly used tools I don't have access to at the moment. So I have to think of ways around that. And in doing so, it opened up other ideas, because the way that they do it is they have a mast. Actually, they use multiple masts, but they have like a mast. It's just a piece of wood on the wall, and then they have a routed channel in it, and then the fasteners that go to the what's it called? That go to the ledge of the easel. The screw goes through that and into another, and into a piece that's like in that channel, and you tension it. Put tension and it sandwiches the two. But I don't have a router, and I don't want to have to deal with that. So I have to think of ways of, making that channel or doing something. And the thing I don't like about their setup is it makes the wood thicker, which means it pushes it pulls everything further away from the wall. So I'm thinking of ways of kind of improving on that. And also being able to use the tools that I do have, and also keeping it cheap because I'm building one of these, or the plan is to build one for a friend of mine. Yeah, he'll pay for the supplies, but still, he's trying to keep it on the affordable side. So, you know, trying to think of all those things that all together. And one of the things I don't like about my easel is the clamping system, when you move it. Yeah. Like a wall easel, but freestanding. No, it'll be attached to the wall. It'll be attached to the wall. So the idea is to have like a mast attached to the wall, and then the ledge that the painting sits on and the top part, those can slide on that. Because he has a studio that's very tight on space. So he wants like a large easel that he can put larger work on, but he doesn't want it to take up a ton of space. So attaching it to the wall will make it, will let him like put up large artwork, but it won't take up a ton of floor space. Michael, are you in the Discord, by the way? And I understand if you're not, like a lot of people don't. Some people like it, some people are like, not another thing. So I'm just asking if you are in the Discord, I can post later. I have the a different web, I found a few places that sell the wall easels, so I've looked at the different designs and kind of trying to not yet, but will. Yeah, awesome. I'll share some of the other people who are selling wall easels. Not that I'm endorsing them by any means. I don't know them. I'm also not shitting on their designs. I just think that I can redesign it to be kind of easier to make with my tools, and also possibly improve on it a little bit. But yeah. But I'm happy to like share the design, the other people who make them, so you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. And by no means you are not obligated to like deal with this or anything, but I enjoy talking about this stuff, so I'm happy to like share this stuff and talk about it. But like if you're like, I don't want to deal with anything like that, by all means, no obligations. I'm having fun talking about it, you know what I mean? So and thank you, Des. I appreciate you posting the link again. I know a lot of people do the eyes first. I've talked about this before, but so if you've heard this before, I apologize. I repeat myself a lot. But I know a lot of people start with the eyes. I used to be the same way. And the logic makes sense, right? If you get the eyes wrong, why even bother continuing, kind of thing, right? However, the conclusion I've come to, and I also am taking some of this from Sargent, admittedly, but the idea is that if you get everything else in the right place, the eyes will kind of come together, and you won't have to worry about it. They'll just kind of fall into place. The other thing is, and this is a mistake I've done a lot over the years, is I would make sure I get the eyes right, and then I would have to fit the whole drawing or painting around the eyes. And sometimes it would be so hard to like fit everything around it. It's a lot easier to fit the eyes into everything versus fit everything around the eyes. Oh, this is a big thing, Michael. I forgot. This is what I was going to say earlier. And this is something that I highly recommend to everyone. It's so So helpful. If you are drawing or painting from reference and you're painting or drawing from a photo reference specifically, not from life. If you're doing it from life, it's different. But if you're doing it from reference, make sure to crop your reference to the same proportions as your canvas. Oh my God, it makes such a huge difference. It's wild how much easier it makes everything. It doesn't have to be the same size, it just has to be the same proportions, because you naturally measure from the edges without even realizing you're doing it. So if everything's the same proportions, it works. If they're not the same proportions, it's going to screw up all of your proportions. So always crop your images proportionate to your canvas or paper, whatever you're working on. It's such a great advice that I got from, I mean, Chelsea said it. I forget who else. I think oh, what's his name? Can't remember. Anyways, but yeah, so good. That says, yes, I agree. Yeah, it is. It is remarkable how much that helps with things. Like, I wish I could take credit for being the guy who came up with that idea or something, but I did not come up with that idea. But I am so glad that I learned it, you know? There's a saying, so 2 by 3 or 3 by 4 or 3 by 5, yeah, or 1 by 1 sometimes if it's a square, whatever it is. Yeah, just make sure the proportions are the same. And for anyone who isn't familiar with how to do that, it's if I'm not mistaken, the way is essentially you divide the sides by each other to find out the root number of it. So 9 by 12 is 3 by 4 because they both divide by 3. Uh, right? So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 3 by 4. You can't get it any lower. Ew, math. Yes. Well, if you are working digitally, the great thing is you don't even have to do math. If your reference is digital, you can just change the canvas size or change the crop ratio. Um, you know, and I'm sure there are websites that also have this information out there. If you don't want to do the math, which I get it can be complicated. Most of the standard sizes fall into those categories that Des put up: 2 by 3, 3 by 4, 3 by 5. I think 5 by 7 and 1 by 1 are the most common. That says you can do the conversions online. Yeah, I'm sure there are places that can do the conversions. There are websites that will do it. But yeah, it just makes it's ridiculous how much that makes life easier when you're trying to paint from reference. All right, that lip is definitely, well, everything needs work still. All right, but yeah. I was gonna, he has a reflected light here. I was going to put in a lighter green, but then I thought, you know, what I'll do is I'll put in a stronger of the red, because the red's kind of like the light color, sort of. And if I put in a dark value of the red, even though the value of it is dark because it's in the shadow, it'll look like it's bright. Doesn't show up very well on the screen, but it does definitely in person. I think that's something that is always tough. The reflected lights and the my go-to on reflected lights is often uh, keeping the value the same or slightly lighter, and then pushing the really pushing the saturation, and that gives it the appearance that there's a reflected light and that it's lighter, even if it's actually the same value. Because yeah, we have a tendency to equate uh, value and saturation a lot of times. And so you can use that to your advantage when you're painting things. Oh shoot, my headphones are dying. That's unfortunate. I am getting close to finishing stream anyways. I'm very, very hungry. I can tell. Like I am reaching my limit of for today. So yeah. Rude headphones. I know. I don't understand. I thought they were charged. I'm honestly a bit surprised. Okay, low battery. I get it. Shut up already. Jeez. I like I get the warning, but I don't need it every 5 seconds. Like how much battery is she wasting? You know, telling me that I'm low battery every 5 seconds. Like, come on. I say she because the voice is clearly a she, but yeah, obviously it's just headphones and just what's the term for it when you give human characteristics to inanimate things? But there's a term for that. I can't remember what it's called. No, I can't pronounce that properly. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah. All right. I'm going to have to call it a day here, not just because of the headphones, I'm also hungry. I have had uh, absolutely zero to eat today. So I'm getting hungry. All right. Uh, Donley says, shoot, I know what you're talking about. I'm blanking at the moment. Yeah. It's like there's a term for it when you give human properties to a inanimate things. People do it with AI all the time, even though there's nothing there. Yeah. Have a good night. Yes, have a good night to everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I look forward to talking more with everyone in Discord. I will be streaming on Wednesday. I might be streaming during the day on Wednesday, not evening, because I might have something to go to in the evening. We'll see. But yeah. Yeah, that's all I got for now. Thanks so much. Um, and new video coming out this week also. So yeah. All right. Have a good one, everybody.